You'll remember he resigned from his role as special prosecutor on the Georgia election interference case after his romantic relationship with Fulton County DA Fani Willis was exposed, and then it sparked conflict of interest questions and concerns and a lot of gossip. So here with me now is criminal defense attorney Daryl Cohen and litigator Madeline Summerville. Thank you guys for being in studio here. Daryl, what do you make of this interview?
I don't know what anybody was thinking, if anything at all. How do you have a media consultant in the middle of an interview go, excuse me, time out, I need to talk to my client? Unacceptable, unexplainable.
It was a bit shocking. And of course, you know, we've got media cycles, right? News cycles. We're continuing to talk about this because of that. And the question being asked of him, it was a pretty basic one, right? When did the romantic relationship start? It's something that you would think he'd be prepared to answer. And it's at the heart of why the Trump team is asking that Fani Willis be thrown off this case. The issue here is there's confusion about this timeline, right? This relationship, when did it start between Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade? And the reason there is question is because they testified one thing, then they testified another thing, and now he's saying it's not relevant. So, Madeline, how does this impact credibility when it comes to prosecution on this case?
Sure. So when it comes to credibility, specifically on this appeal, you're not allowed as the appellate court to review the credibility of or credibility decisions that were already made by the trial court, because they aren't there to see it, and they're supposed to trust and rely on the findings of the trial court. And so it must be incredibly frustrating for everyone that's involved, because everyone has an opinion on whether somebody is telling the truth or not. And the only thing I could think of when it comes to the media consultant walking in is that it must have been so bad, like whatever he was about to say, that he was
getting jumbled with what he was saying, and he was trying to get around it. Yeah, so you're saying
whatever he would have let out that he wasn't supposed to, like having the news cycles talk about this instead was better in some way.
Right, so it begs the question, what was he going to say, right, Daryl? Go ahead, I know you're dying to say something.
I hope I don't die to say it, but I am ready to say it. It makes no sense. This interview would have had no legs at all.
None.
All he had to say was, I cannot comment on that because it's part of the court record. Done, over. But instead, what happens? Boop, boop, excuse me, we need to talk.
And yes.
Unacceptable behavior, and I think CNN, plaudits to them, kudos to them for not stopping the camera, for running and running, and now we have legs.
Yeah, we certainly have legs. And the main thing that we were all talking about in the newsroom today, just full transparency, is why is Nathan Wade putting himself in the spotlight?
Oh, that's simple.
Why isn't he laying low? So if you were representing him, if you say you were the media consultant, the legal media consultant, what would you be saying to him?
Well, first of all, why is he doing that?
Right.
It's apparent to me that his practice has suffered, so he saw an opportunity to be on air, have people come to him, flock to him, become his paying clients. So, but if I were his consultant, I never would have allowed him to do anything. I would have made sure there was a script. I knew what the answers were going to be because I would know what the questions would be. I never would have done it the way they did it. But I'm not a media consultant. I'm merely a lawyer who's on air.
But you are for hire, I think. I think someone could maybe convince you to be that media consultant. I mean, in all seriousness, Fani Willis, she's not shying away from the public either. She spoke at an event today. She defended herself. And it begs the question, what chances does this trial actually have going to trial?
So I think that the timing of the interview with Nathan Wade is because of the fact that he felt like he needed to defend himself, because this trial is not going to happen before the election. And we're all really disappointed by that, regardless of what side you're on. Although I'm sure that the defense is happy to have a little bit more time. Right. Yeah, but I think overall, the appellate courts in Georgia have an incredibly low percentage rate of reconsiderations. It's almost never. And so basically what they're asking to do right now is to litigate everything that they would litigate in the future as a full appeal just by filing this motion to dismiss that they filed today.
Right.
So it's like okay, let's try and squeeze everything we can in here because we know it's not going to happen it's not going to happen in the time that we wanted it to.
So essentially kicking the can. Now let's just say hypothetically, right? Hypothetically, let's say Fonnie Willis is taken off this case. What happens next, Daryl?
Case continues, but it no longer has an all-star quarterback. It now has a number of would-be quarterbacks who are going to have, in likelihood, infighting as to who is going to be the director, how the case is going to proceed. Regardless of who it is, there's no way it's going to happen before next year, 2025. Trump will have been elected president again, or he will not have been.
Okay, I was going to say, well, major prediction, guys.
No, I predict it's predictably unpredictable.
Right.
Or Biden will be reelected. Be that as it may, this is not going to happen for a while. And if Fonnie is off the case, it may never get tried because I'm not sure that anyone has the same drive and direction that Fonnie has. On the other hand, if someone else takes the reins and he or she is a good quarterback, it may happen, but it's not going to happen with the same intensity. Just not.
Yeah, well, we're still waiting on the presidential immunity decision from the Supreme Court. That is a major factor in this case. While it's not directly connected, of course, it does have relevance. How could that opinion impact these proceedings moving forward?
So I think that public perception is incredibly important right now because there are media consultants who are reviewing the public's perception of the results of a trial and how that impacts voters and what's going to happen. And I was actually really excited last night to see there was a broadcast about a poll that talked about vibes, right? How do we feel about this matters so much more than the facts and statistics. And
than the facts. And oftentimes you're right.
Who cares about the facts?
About facts?
Yes. And so in that case, regardless of what the outcomes are of any of these decisions, I think the issue that people are going to care most about is this enough to win my vote one way or the other? I think that's going to end up being the focus of all of it.
You know, it's super interesting because it's right. The facts are the facts, right? But there's a lot of other punchy and edgy things to talk about that have to do with this.
It's the appearance on television, the appearance in front of a jury, voice, demeanor, body language, facial expressions, all of that matters. The facts in a case like this matter less than they would in an armed robbery or a murder or a kidnapping, where the facts are what you go on. Here, it's emotion. It's the court of public opinion, and the court of public opinion goes up and down, moves left and right. It sways.
Absolutely, and that actually makes me think of one of the notes that Judge McAfee had in his opinion when he was talking about how the DA is supposed to be something like above reproach, like Caesar's wife, and that was the reference that Stephen Sadow had to the odor of mendacity. Something smells fishy, and so she's supposed to conduct herself throughout any proceeding that she might have with as much grace and honor as possible.
Yeah, and that throws all of us into question.
Yes.
Madeline Summerville, Daryl Cohen, thank you both. As usual, you guys are great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll be right back.